my fiancé proposed to my sister. Everyone thought I would make a scene, even my parents advised me to give in to my sister. But unexpectedly, I calmly offered my blessings and announced my engagement to the wealthy young master Shawn. Sorry about that. The melodrama ends here. It's time for the sister to take the path of a light-hearted story. Today was supposed to be the engagement banquet for me and Myers. But Myers has yet to appear, I can't reach him by phone, and his parents are nowhere to be found. Just as everyone at the venue was buzzing with speculation, I took the microphone from the attendant, leisurely raised the wine glass on the table, and slightly lifted it. I apologize, everyone. I believe my fiancé must have something important to attend to. Before I could finish my sentence, today's other protagonist, Myers, appeared at the entrance of the venue, hand in hand with my biological sister, Julie, and interrupted me loudly. I truly apologize. He released Julie's hand, looked down at her with a cherished expression, embraced her, and walked step by step to my side, spreading his hands towards me. I'm in trouble. I put down the wine glass, handed the microphone to him, and stepped back. Myers nodded at me, looked around, and said apologetically, "Ladies and gentlemen, and Miss Zoe. I sincerely apologize. The engagement banquet between Miss Zoe and me will be cancelled. But today, I want everyone present to witness that I, Myers, have truly wanted to marry only her from the beginning to the end." As he spoke, Myers faced Julie, knelt on one knee, and earnestly asked, "Miss Julie, will you marry me?" Julie did not respond. She looked up at me, then lowered her gaze to Myers, tears streaming down her face, as if she were in extreme inner turmoil. After all, she was openly stealing her younger sister's engagement banquet. Myers could clearly see her inner turmoil, silently taking her hand to offer encouragement. The guests, who had already begun to disperse, turned back to watch the excitement. Gradually, murmurs of discussion began to rise. Hasn't the marriage between the Myers family and the Sheen family been publicly announced for many years? Is there a change today? The eldest daughter of the Sheen family, Julie, rarely appears in public. I didn't expect her to be so striking when she finally does. I heard that Myers from the Fong family used to have a crush on Miss Zoe. Does this mean Julie has taken her sister's fiancé? I wonder if Miss Zoe will cause a scene. Who knows, it's just that we haven't gotten married yet. What's the big deal? Sure enough, no matter the occasion or status, gossiping is a human talent. I smiled slightly, putting on a sincere attitude, and urged Julie, "Sister, what are you dawdling for? Just agree already." But unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Julie's tears flowed even more fiercely. She lowered her head, shook it, and pressed her lips together in silence. Half kneeling, Myers could no longer hold back, turned his head, and shouted at me, "Zoe, stop tormenting Julie. If you have any grievances, come at me, she is innocent." "Me, what does this have to do with me? Are you out of your mind?" The atmosphere in the banquet hall froze for a moment. My friends rushed over, fearing I would cause a scene, trying to take me out of the venue. "Zoe, don't be sad, we can talk about it later. Are you okay? Let me take you downstairs to rest." Even my parents came over to pat my shoulder, advising me, "Your sister has always let you have your way since childhood, she just wants a Myers. Be understanding this once and give her a break." So I don't need to say anything at all, you've all said it for me. Pushing away those who were crowding me, I sighed, all right, you've all said enough, it's time for me to say a few words." I asked a servant for a microphone again, and not far away, Julie was crouched down, buried in Myers' arms, sobbing. Facing the uncertain gazes of the crowd, I took a couple of steps closer. The speakers arranged around the venue clearly conveyed my every word. With all my sincerity, I wish for my sister and Myers to become a couple in the end. Julie heard a voice, lifted her head from Myers' arms, her eyes red and on the verge of tears. "Zoe." Not wanting to listen to her performance, I cleared my throat and continued, "At the same time, I sincerely invite everyone." As the words were spoken, the door to the banquet hall was pushed open, and someone walked in slowly from the entrance. The crowd parted, and murmurs of surprise arose. "Isn't that Shawn from the Shawn family? How did he get here?" My goodness, is Shawn here to watch the play today as well? I walked over, linked my arm with the newcomer, and smiled. I invite you all to join me and Shawn for our engagement banquet on the 21st of next month at Gmao Garden. Now no one dared to speak. Unlike the Qin and Fong families, who were ordinary wealthy families living off their ancestors' fortunes, the Shen family has been in politics for generations, achieving great things. Yet here comes Shawn, who at 20 ventured into business, employing fierce tactics, and within just 5 years has taken control of a large part of Xiqing's economic lifeline. He is a true young nouveau riche, a top-tier aristocrat. No one here truly dares to offend him to his face. Except for me, who is wholeheartedly devoted to my good sister. Julie was helped up by Myers, her face full of disbelief. Zoe, don't talk nonsense, Mr. Shawn is not someone we can joke about. I tilted my head, confused. Joke? What joke? Myers wrapped his arm around her shoulder, protecting her. Zoe, today I was in the wrong. You can ask for any compensation you want, but you shouldn't provoke the Shen family. My father seemed to squeeze out of the crowd slowly, his face full of worry as he pulled me. Zoe, don't be foolish, do you know who this is? I hadn't replied yet. Shawn took a couple of steps back with me. My father followed closely, apologizing while still trying to pull me. Mr. Shawn, my youngest daughter didn't mean to offend, she. Uncle, it seems you've misunderstood something. Shawn frowned, showing displeasure. I raised the microphone in front of him, and he slightly lowered his head, his voice calm. Since Zoe has invited everyone, I also welcome you all to join us. Our engagement banquet will be on the 21st of next month. After a pause, he took the microphone. By the way, I also wish Julie and Myers that lovers become a couple in the end. Then he let go of the microphone, allowing it to fall freely, hitting the ground with a loud thud. Coupled with his earlier words, the sound felt like a hammer striking, resonating in everyone's hearts. Bang, there was a moment of silence in the room, followed by an uproar. People around began to discuss incessantly. I thought Miss Zoe was so unfortunate, but why does it seem off? It feels like Myers changed his fiancé on a whim, but Miss Zoe seems to have been prepared for this. The surrounding murmurs were quite loud, reaching Shawn's ears. He was very pleased, turning his head slightly to cast an appreciative glance at the few speakers. He nodded from afar, indicating his approval. I helplessly raised my hand and patted Shawn, who was displaying himself like a peacock. Tone it down a bit. The next day, the news in Creek City exploded. The announcement of my engagement to Shawn, with his permission, became known throughout the city. On my phone, my father had been asking since yesterday afternoon how I got involved with Shawn. He asked if I wanted to harm the Qin family, and whether the Shen family was someone I could provoke. Then, after seeing the trending topic this morning, his sharp criticism turned into, Zoe, you must perform well and keep Shawn happy. The future of the Qin family depends on you from now on. Depend on me? I tapped my finger on the last message, finding it amusing. He has no ability to run the company. For these years, he has basically relied on the Fong family for support. So for the past 20 years, the future of the Qin family has been entirely on Myers' shoulders. It was also because of this that when they discovered Myers and Julie entangled together, they decisively abandoned me. My parents, who originally favored my frail and sickly sister, were eager to secure a good marriage for her. It was just that when Myers insisted on pursuing me, they had no choice but to not force a change. Now that Myers is with my sister, they have indeed gotten their wish. Just as I was thinking this, Shawn sat down next to me with a plate of water. What are you thinking about? I pinched a green grape and sighed sadly. Partial parents, a sick sister, a fickle fiancé, and the innocent and pitiful me. Shawn took my hand holding the green grape and brought it to his mouth. He mimicked my tone and sighed softly. Alas, my fiancé really is almost bullied. Suddenly remembering that this guy who snatched my fruit knows quite a bit about me. The pity act failed. I said, my father asked me to please you. I picked another green grape and held it to his mouth. Here, let me please you a bit. Shawn took it calmly and lazily said, is my golden son-in-law worth their waiting a few days? Since Shawn and I are getting engaged, both sides naturally need to arrange a time to meet the parents. Moreover, the Chin family has finally found an opportunity to curry favor with the Shin family. They wouldn't want to miss the chance to gain some benefits. I just wonder how long they can hold back from disturbing such a big fish. I continued to speculate, a week, maybe. Shawn turned his head away, confidently saying, one day. The next day, at the Chin family. Shawn was held up in the living room chatting with my parents, while I returned to my room to pack my things, planning to move in with Shawn. The door was pushed open, and Julie came in with a cup of coffee, her smile warm. Zoe, I made this coffee myself, I brought it for you to try. I glanced at the varying shades of kiss marks on her collarbone. Now she couldn't even be bothered to hide them. I really admire you, sister. Just as Julie was about to step inside, she paused, still smiling. What's wrong? I put down the clothes in my hands, picked up the phone on the table, turned it off in front of her, and threw it onto the bed. Take out your phone. Julie hesitated. What are you? I blinked and gave her a choice, turn it off or go out and close the door. After a moment, Julie took out the phone from her bag that was recording and turned it off. She also closed the door. Julie's smile faded, coldly saying, I've been curious since yesterday about how you managed to get close to Shawn. It seems you do have something. I shrugged my shoulders and said, this little trick is nothing compared to yours. The other members of the Chin family, especially our parents, treated Julie, who was born prematurely, like a fragile item from a young age. They wouldn't let her run or jump, nor go outside to encounter any danger, keeping her cooped up at home for a long time. A child so carefully nurtured ended up with a heart as black as coal. After she turned 5, she began to target me specifically, trying to take from me what she believed should rightfully belong to her. This included our parents' special affection, the recognition from teachers and friends, and my fiancé, Myers. The methods she used to obtain these things included, but were not limited to, feigning illness, playing the victim, and spreading dirt. She indeed took a lot from me in these ways. Although I found those things harmless, she always presented herself with a victorious demeanor. Perhaps she prides herself on being very successful. Thinking of this, I silently curled my lips and smiled. Julie ignored my previous comment, brought the coffee to her lips, and leisurely took a sip. I spent a good 10 minutes grinding it, not bad at all. You should try it, what a pity if you don't. I echoed, yeah, what a pity. She put down the coffee. You can't marry Shawn. Why? You don't deserve him. I nodded slightly and retorted, what? Do you think you deserve him? Stabbed in the heart, a flicker of panic crossed Julie's eyes. But at that moment, she still wanted to hide her ulterior motives and earnestly advised me, Shawn's background is not something you can cling to. I'm doing this for your own good. What a cliché way of saying it's for my own good. I sat on the edge of the bed, deliberately pondering for a few seconds. Is it that I am not worthy, or do you want to claim him for yourself? I've already given you Myers, isn't that enough? Julie instinctively replied, Myers and I are truly in love. She paused, sensing something was off. Her eyes widened in disbelief. You mean, to give him to me? Oh, my silly sister. I smiled, raised my finger, and pretended to ponder. Didn't you say you two were truly in love? Let me guess, where did this true love begin? Is it the engagement banquet from a couple of days ago? Is it the countless secret meetings over the years, or the night after the college entrance examination ended? A loud thud, something heavy hitting the ground, the sound of a ceramic cup shattering, startled the 3 people downstairs. They heard the commotion and came upstairs. Julie was weakly collapsed on the floor of my room, holding her stomach, softly hissing in pain. Her white loungewear was splattered with coffee, and the cup had shattered beside her. I sat in front of her, watching coldly. This scene pierced our mother's heart. She was anxious and worried, helping Julie up. What happened? What's going on? Julie, what's wrong? Julie weakly opened her eyes, tears streaming down her face. It hurts so much. Mom. Please don't blame Zoe, it's my fault for not standing firm, she didn't push me. The mother, heartbroken for her eldest daughter, was filled with anger. A woman who usually cared about her image as a socialite, she pointed directly at me. "Zoe. She is your biological sister. She is carrying your biological nephew right now. How dare you push her?" The more she spoke, the more agitated she became. She almost stood up, wanting to slap me, but unexpectedly her legs gave way, and she knelt down on top of Julie. Julie's crying momentarily stopped. I tightened my lips, suppressing a smile. People often appear very busy when they are embarrassed. My mother hurriedly moved aside, tears streaming down her face, holding Julie and shouting at my dad, "What are you standing there for? Call a doctor. This is a sin, truly a sin." My father was snapped back to reality, anxious and restless, wanting to go downstairs to call for help. Shawn stood in the doorway, blocking my father, his tone calm to the point of indifference. "Uncle, don't rush." My father was taken aback, both anxious and fearful. "Mr. Shawn, what are you doing?" Shawn remained silent, tilting his chin in my direction. Everyone in the room turned to look at me. I slowly stood up from my chair and gently clapped my hands. "You know? My sister, the best performance she has given over the years was this one. It's just a pity that today, it has to come to an end." My mother didn't understand what I wanted to do. She was worried about Julie and yelled at me fiercely, her voice even cracking a bit. "What nonsense are you talking about? Why don't you let your dad find a doctor? Do you want to harm your sister and this unborn child?" I frowned, raised my hand to cover my ears, and looked to Shawn for help. He raised his hand, curled his knuckles, and knocked on the door, signaling her to quiet down. "Aunt, rest assured, in this room, the one most worried about Julie getting into trouble is not you." "What?" I took over the conversation. "If something happens to Julie in my room, I would lose my entire life over it. I'm not that self-sacrificing." My mother looked down at the pitiful sight of Julie in her arms, then looked at me, confused. "What do you want to do?" I picked up the two phones on the bed and walked over to the desk, taking out Shawn's phone that was hidden behind a book. I also shook the screen that was recording in front of him. Julie's crying suddenly stopped, and I caught the obvious, fragmented panic and fear in her eyes. At that moment, our parents also held their breath, sensing something was amiss. I didn't keep them in suspense either. I turned on the projector in the room and connected Shawn's phone. I played the video that had just been saved from the beginning. In the first few minutes of the video, I was the only one in the room folding clothes. Then Julie walked in with a cup of coffee. A few minutes later, I asked Julie, "Let me guess, when did you and Meyer start truly loving each other? Was it at the engagement party a couple of days ago? Was it during those countless secret meetings over the years? Or, was it the night after the college entrance exam?" Julie's face suddenly turned pale, and she took 2 steps closer to me, gritting her teeth. "What are you talking about?" In the video, my response was clearly heard. "Room 107 on the 10th floor of the Jinbin Hotel. That footage of you and him eagerly tearing into a passionate kiss in the hallway? I was the one who helped you delete it." After hearing this, Julie turned the coffee cup in her hand and splashed it on herself, her voice cold and laced with hatred. "So what? This is all what you owe me." Then, without even blinking, she slammed the coffee cup hard onto the ground, skillfully avoiding the shards, lay down on the floor, and clutched her stomach, letting out a surprised cry. The commotion drew everyone upstairs to open the door. In the last few seconds of the video, I walked towards the camera. Thus it ended, with a room full of silence. The deep pain on my mother's face froze, incredulous. "Julie, you? Why is this happening?" My father's face turned red. He had prided himself on being a gentleman all his life, never raising his voice, but he couldn't help but angrily scold Julie. "What are you doing?" Julie's tears were still flowing as she shook her head, frantically grabbing her mother's hand, gripping it so tightly that it turned pale. "I'm not, I just. Stop, stop, stop." I clapped my hands, interrupting their performance. I was just presenting the current situation to everyone here and didn't want to know what happened next. "Shawn and I have things to do, so we'll be leaving first." It seemed my words had awakened her. Julie stood up, ignoring the shattered glass at her feet, and tried to come over to grab me. Zoe, you did this on purpose. You want to ruin me, to take everything from me. You bitch, you are. However, faster than her actions was her mother, who stood up with her and grabbed her. Bam, Julie froze in place, her pupils filled with shock and disbelief. Mother withdrew her hand, looking at the imprint slowly appearing on Julie's face with pity, murmuring softly, "How could you be like this? How did you become this way? That was your sister." Julie was stunned by the slap, slowly raising her hand to cover her face, tears streaming down as she stared at her mother, instinctively arguing for sympathy. "You actually hit me for her? Mom, have you forgotten how many times I've tolerated her over the years? I've given her everything. I just wanted a Myers. What did I do wrong?" Mother was taken aback, shaking Julie's hand slightly. "Mom just saw you just now." Julie shook her off, sneering, "Saw me just now? I was just defending my love in my own way. What about you, Mom? Are you going to blindly stand on Zoe's side?" Mother shook her head, wanting to say something. I couldn't help but interrupt. All right, what my sister said is all true, but I just have one question." Everyone in the room looked at me. I turned to Julie and asked, "This is your first time getting hit, right? How does it feel?" Visibly, Julie's face changed from white to green, mixed with the bright red handprint on her cheek, making it look quite comical. I laughed out loud. "If you can't say anything, that's fine. We've seen enough of the show, it's time for us to go." The rest was for them to handle. I had lost interest in watching. Julie was pulled back into the room by her father. He and my mother awkwardly saw Shawn and me out the door. As I was about to get in the car, my mother held the door and tugged at my sleeve. "Zoe." I remained silent as Shawn squinted and pulled me into the car, leaning halfway over my legs, his tone sincere. "Auntie, if Julie has any thoughts about entering the entertainment industry, she can contact me." After a pause, he slowed his tone. "After all, I see she has exceptional talent." My mother froze, her empty fingers tightening into a fist, and she didn't respond. I glanced up at her, then looked away, lowering my head and waving at her. "We're leaving, Mom." As if my call of Mom had soothed her, my mother forced a smile and waved back at me. "Okay." The car door closed, and the window isolated the pain that filled her eyes. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The late realization, after all, came too late. From childhood to adulthood, Julie has played this role too many times, just like today. From a young age, no matter how clever a child is, how could they avoid making mistakes? It's just that the parents, from the very beginning, had their hearts skewed, even their eyes and ears were biased, only seeing and hearing what they wanted to see and hear. Thus, they would countless times overlook my pleas for help, wholeheartedly supporting Julie, the seemingly more fragile victim. Fortunately, it's all in the past. And thankfully, I no longer care. When I got home, I originally wanted to take a nap. Last night, there was a small incident. My father couldn't wait a day. After confirming that my marriage with Shawn was real, he eagerly called me to bring Shawn home for dinner the next day. It was said to be a meal, but everyone knew what was really on their minds. I was too lazy to have my appetite spoiled at the dining table, so I dragged Shawn over early, hoping to skip the lunch part. Fortunately, there was Julie, living up to my expectations, lending me a helping hand so we could sneak away early. At that moment, the spring weather was just right, perfect for sleeping. Little did I know, as soon as I leaned against the edge of the bed, an incessant fellow came over and asked, "Are you tired?" I was buried under the blanket, my voice muffled, "Mm." In the next moment, the bed beside me sank, and Shawn reached out to pull me into his arms. "You won't back out of the bet we made yesterday, will you?" "The bet?" "The one about my parents' patience with him as their golden son-in-law." I boasted that they could wait a week, but in the end, thinking about what I had promised, my ears involuntarily turned red. "Is this something we can talk about in broad daylight?" Shawn squinted, his tone light yet carrying a hint of threat. "You won't back out, will you?" "Of course not." Before I could finish, Shawn pressed my neck and swallowed me into his mouth. I have never been able to resist Shawn's kiss. When he finally let me go, I was gasping for air, and tears of physiological response welled up in the corners of my eyes. I'm tired, really tired. Shawn leaned in again, gently sucking on my lower lip. Let me keep you company while you sleep. I was still catching my breath, struggling to push him away. You go over there. Shawn lay down beside me, following my push, and sighed softly. Sleep, rest well, then you can enjoy the show. 3 days later, Myers announced that he would hold a re-engagement banquet with Julie, and the invitation was delivered to Shawn. Shawn slapped the invitation into my hand, raised an eyebrow, and teased, let's go, enjoy the show. So what he meant by watching a show was this. I smiled and replied, it's really something to look forward to. The Maybach stopped outside the banquet hall, and Shawn got out, walked around the front of the car, and opened the door for me. I reached out, linked my arm with his, and went in together. This engagement party was held in a larger venue, with more effort put into it, and quite a few media outlets were invited. I glanced around and sighed, indeed, this is true love. It's certainly more elaborate than my own. Hearing this, Shawn scanned the scene and smirked, is this really considered elaborate? I chuckled and teased him, it's just average. There were indeed a lot of people inside, with many wealthy heirs and well-dressed CEOs gathering in small groups to drink and chat. There were even many exquisitely dressed stars and internet celebrities. However, most of these people were not ones that the Chin and Fong families could easily invite. I was a bit puzzled. Could it be that the Fong and Chin families had some recent developments that I was unaware of? Fortunately, my confusion was soon resolved. Ever since Shawn and I entered the venue, we gradually attracted most of the attention from the people gathered together. Not far away, someone was already shaking their wine glass, eager to come over and talk to Shawn. I tapped Shawn on the arm, it seems this place is benefiting from your presence. Shawn is wealthy, good-looking, and has a strong background, and he is known simply as Shawn. In the past few years of making a name for himself in Xiqing, he has maintained a clean reputation, with no scandals, and he is not keen on attending any parties. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a fiancé has appeared, and everyone can't help but be curious. Upon inquiring, they learned it was me, and I am the daughter of the Chin family. Julie, my only biological sister, is engaged. Naturally, I should be present. So these people are betting on the chance that I might bring Shawn along. This could be one of the few opportunities they have to get close to him. Not far away, Myers emerged from the crowd, holding a glass of wine, and raised it towards us with a beaming smile. Zoe, Mr. Shawn. A waiter approached with 2 glasses of wine, and I took one, raising it in a gesture of support for him. Cheers. As for what to toast to, that's hard to say. Myers didn't mind that Shawn ignored him, he nodded, took a sip of his drink, and turned back to the crowd. I found a table to set down my wine glass. Turning around, I saw Shawn surrounded by a few familiar friends. Really can't sit still. I found a corner, trying hard to ignore the pair of eyes that were watching me intently from a distance. Casually swirling my wine glass, nibbling on a small cake, and occasionally taking a sip of my drink. As the guests were nearly all gathered, I let go of my wine glass, leaned on the table, and pretended to be asleep. Sure enough, the person who had been watching me couldn't hold back any longer and came over to support me. Miss? Miss? Are you all right? Let me help you upstairs to rest. I kept my eyes closed, silently sneering. It seemed that the real show was about to begin. The maid led me to the room, gently stripped me of my clothes, and thoughtfully covered me with half a blanket before closing the door and leaving. Once everything fell silent, I sat up in bed and fumbled in the dark to pick up the dress by the bedside and put it on. The room was dim and quiet, and my phone had just been taken away by the maid. I struggled to adapt to the darkness and wandered around the room. It was really clean and tidy, with no wardrobe or any place to hide. The only main door probably wouldn't lead me out. I gave up hiding and sat on the sofa by the window, rubbed my sore shoulders, and said, "What do you think she will surprise me with?" A faint electronic noise echoed from the left earring. Immediately after, Shawn's cold voice came through, "You can expect something. After all, she won't be polite to you at all." I got up and walked to the bed, grabbed the blanket, and returned to the sofa, wrapping myself in it. That's truly a heartbreaking conclusion. Shawn snorted coldly, "Yeah, I'm so heartbroken I'm about to laugh." I smiled and didn't respond. I was indeed looking forward to what surprise Julie would bring me today. There was a noise at the door, and I instinctively tightened my grip on the blanket, looking in the direction of the sound. The door was slowly pushed open, and the brightness of the hallway seemed blinding at that moment, forcing me to squint. In my blurred vision, two figures slipped into the room, followed by a rustling sound. It seemed the newcomers were taking off their clothes. A hoarse male voice urged, "Hurry up, let's finish and leave." Another, deeper male voice, anxious and flustered, replied, I know. The two didn't turn on the light, and I vaguely caught sight of them groping their way toward the edge of the bed. I curled up on the sofa, hiding myself deeper into the blanket. I silently counted in my mind. 543. The two searched around the bed but couldn't find me, and one of them anxiously called out, "Where is the person?" "No, are you talking about on the bed? Turn on the light and take a look." I continued the countdown, 2 to 1. Time's up. The door opened, and light flooded into the room. I instantly raised the blanket to cover my eyes, afraid of seeing something I shouldn't. After a loud click of the switch, Shawn's tone was icy. "Hey, you two, hanging out with a little chili pepper here taking nude art photos?" The two men in the room were dragged to the door by Shawn's people. I was pulled out from under the blanket by Shawn and carried out of the room. Two men, just dressed in waiter uniforms, knelt at the door, one of them with a small camera hanging around his neck. I withdrew my gaze and let Shawn put me down. "Who sent you here?" The two exchanged glances for a few seconds before decisively speaking up. "It was Julie. She asked us to take some unflattering photos of you and specifically requested that your full face must be visible." "Miss Zoe, we are just doing our job for money. Could you and Mr. Shawn?" I smiled politely and turned to leave. "Shawn, call the police." For the past 20 years, Julie had long been accustomed to being above me. That day when I returned to the Cheen family, I made her stumble so badly that it even led to her moving out of the Cheen family that very night. How could she possibly be willing to do nothing and let me be well? As expected, she was not polite to me at all. The wedding banquet downstairs had already begun and was gradually becoming lively. The large screen at the end of the runway was playing past moments of Myers and Julie. Clearly, I was present in many scenes, and clearly, during some of the photos, Myers was pursuing me. I don't know when Julie found some excuse to take these group photos with him. Now they have become their exclusive sweet memories. How interesting. In the corner by the stage, the pianist was immersed in playing the wedding song of dreams, enveloping the crowd with blessings that surrounded the entire venue. Shawn followed behind me, wrapping his arms around me. "She should really like your gift." I lowered my head, looking at the beaming Julie, and sighed softly. I originally didn't want to give it away. Unfortunately, my sister is too naive, walking down a path of darkness without knowing that one should always leave a way out for oneself. Perhaps my indulgence over the years has made her so foolish. The photo on the big screen has already shown the engagement photos of the two. The host signaled for Julie and Myers to come on stage. The two walked over arm in arm, exchanged a smile, turned to face the crowd, and were about to speak. Just then, the sound system on both sides of the big screen played the conversation I had with Shawn earlier. The big screen was dim, but the sound from the speakers on both sides was clear enough. Not long ago, I had quietly asked Shawn about the hidden monitor in my earring. "What do you think she will surprise me with?" Until the end, the man who looked like a waiter said those two sentences. "It's Julie, let us take pictures of you mingling with other men, and she specifically requested to show your full face." "Miss Zoe, we are just doing our job for money. Could you and Mr. Shawn?" On stage, Julie's face was pale as she pulled up Myers, wanting to turn off the big screen. "Who is responsible for this?" "Turn it off." "What is this?" "Turn it all off." but it was already too late. The people Shawn brought had come in and blocked those trying to enter the screening room. The big screen continued to play. The scene changed. This time it was my room, and I was alone packing things up when Julie walked in holding a coffee cup. The coffee cup that had shattered a few days ago shattered again. The video ended once more after I moved closer to the camera. The audience was in an uproar. Julie had collapsed to the ground, exhausted and in tears, while Myers held her, half kneeling beside her, his face filled with shock. I let go of the railing, leaned back into Shawn's arms, and said, "I almost forgot what the next video is about." The screen fell into darkness again with my voice, and 3 seconds later, Julie's voice came out before the image. "I really love this trophy, Zoe." The image gradually became clear, and a visibly younger Julie was holding a crystal trophy, examining it closely. Anyone with good eyesight could see the name of the winner written on it, Zoe. That was my trophy. In the video, I was sitting on one side of the sofa in the living room, ignoring Julie. She didn't care whether I was upset or not, and threw the trophy down at her feet, exclaiming, "I'm sorry, Zoe, it's all my fault, I shouldn't have said anything, please don't be mad." Then my father and mother appeared, protecting Julie. Julie seemed to soften and defended me. "It's not Zoe's fault, I shouldn't have been curious about that trophy. Zoe didn't mean to hit me with it, Mom and Dad, please don't be angry." My mother pointed at me, looking frustrated. "How did I end up with a daughter like you? This is your sister." The scene on the screen continued, and the media in the banquet hall could no longer sit still. They had already started the live broadcast, with cameras flashing continuously. The guests who had originally surrounded the main character began to retreat. "Oh my God, are they real sisters? Are they biological parents? You can know a person's face but not their heart. It seems like the Myers know nothing at all. How could he possibly know nothing? Wasn't Myers engaged to Miss Zoe before? And then suddenly switched to Julie. Could it be that she is jealous of her sister and wants to snatch away her fiancé? It's terrifying to think about." The murmurs gradually drowned out one of the main characters in the video. What was originally a warm and happy engagement party suddenly turned into a courtroom that condemned her. Julie sat in place, helplessly gripping Myers' arm, wanting him to take her away from the crowd. But Myers seemed quite shaken, frozen in place, and was pushed down to the side by Julie. Seeing that her father and mother were also surrounded and unable to help themselves, Julie simply shook her body and rolled her eyes, unable to bear it any longer, and fainted. The people in the venue stepped back a few paces, fearing she might cause trouble, and for a moment, chaos ensued. Shawn had someone bring a microphone, and with his bony fingers, he gently tapped it. The surround sound system carried his deep, melodious voice, allowing everyone to hear. "Ladies and gentlemen." The crowd below paused, looking around, and finally turned their gaze to the second floor where Shawn and I were. He brought the microphone to my lips. I directed my gaze to the big screen, speaking calmly. "I hope today's program has not disappointed everyone. I just wonder, has it satisfied my sister?" I, the sister who had been favored since childhood, self-righteous and naive, was finally awakened by Myers, as if I had just come back to my senses from a state of confusion. Like a broken pot thrown away, she stared at me fiercely, her voice piercing. "Zoe. Is it you? Are you crazy? Are you forcing me?" I replied to her, "Am I forcing you to death?" Julie stood there in a daze, as if she couldn't understand what I was saying. "What?" I chuckled lightly, genuinely happy. "Isn't this what you've loved to say to me for the past 20 years? Countless times in the past, after I received honors, Julie would avoid our parents, gently take my hand, and say, 'I really envy you, Zoe. You are healthy and full of life, with so many wonderful memories, and you work so hard to earn your honors. It truly makes me happy for you. But Zoe, we are both our mother's daughters. Why is it that you are healthy and happy, able to have everything you want, while I can only be locked at home, unable to do this or that? I really feel so sad.'" She would smash and tear apart the trophies and honors I had worked so hard to earn, then lie amidst the wreckage. You are so excellent, you have deprived me of everything. You make it seem like my very existence is a mistake. You are always pushing me to the brink, Zoe. But she has always just said it out loud. She does not treat me like a sister. More like an enemy. She might wish for my death, or perhaps she wishes I had never been born at all. I sighed. Julie, oh Julie, with your attitude, what makes you think I would be a good sister? At the edge of the venue, the live broadcast continued, and I swallowed some inappropriate words, pausing. After all, it is my sister's engagement party. At that moment, Shawn's secretary walked over to my father and mother holding a box. I softened my tone. I had originally prepared a different gift. The box opened, revealing a property certificate and a gift contract for a villa inside. Nearby, someone with a keen eye exclaimed, "Is that the Yunjin Tian-K?" That's right, it's the Yunjin Tian-K, a house that money can't buy, and even with power, you might not be able to live in it. Miss Zoe is quite generous. Just as my father's eyes lit up and he reached out to take it, the box was closed. I smiled slightly, with an apologetic tone. It was originally meant to be a gift. Unfortunately, now it can only serve as an apology. These belong to you now. The box was handed to my father's secretary. My mother, I don't know when, was in tears. Zoe. I ignored the tenderness in her eyes, withdrew my gaze, and looked at Julie, who had lost all control of her expression. Sincerely, just like in our childhood, I apologized to her. Sister, I'm sorry. This kind of situation won't happen again. Once, I apologized out of youthful naivety, valuing our sisterhood and choosing to give up honor to protect her sensitive and fragile heart. Now, I apologize because I have truly destroyed what she called her lifelong pursuit of happiness. My entanglement with her ends here. The engagement party ended in a dismal fashion. Shawn and I once again trended on social media. My parents called me countless times, but I ignored every single one. It was only when the police came to investigate the photo incident that I encountered an annoying guy. Myers looked quite dejected. He said, "Julie is in the hospital, she." I raised my hand to signal a stop, closed the door, and urged him, "Enough, please leave." The door was blocked by Myers. "Zoe, I didn't mean to. On the day of the college entrance exam, I was actually going to confess to you. I was drunk, I don't know why it was Julie." I stood behind the door, not wanting to look at him. "That's enough, Myers. Not to mention how many times you two have been together in recent years. Have you ever thought about why it was Julie who went to see you that night?" Myers forced the door open, looking at me in disbelief. "What do you mean by this?" I took 2 steps back and sneered. "The drug in your cup was placed there by someone I hired, the text inviting me out was deliberately shown to Julie, and even the room where you two were fooling around was prepared by me." Why? We clearly have a marriage contract, I raised my hand again, shaking it to express my dissatisfaction. "Why can't you understand human speech? I'm really troubled. Why have you always clung to me since we were kids?" Myers froze again in place. In my youth, the countless times I dodged him, the countless times I resisted, flashed before my eyes. "I liked you so much." What does that have to do with me? Don't you understand? I have always hated you. I never liked you even a little bit, just the thought of marrying you in the future kept me awake at night. Being entangled with him since childhood, being forced to be by his side as Myers' fiancé, was truly the worst time I have ever experienced. I'm just returning you to Julie. Just as I said before. I wish you both a happy ending. After the wedding banquet, the Fong family and the Qin family severed ties, and the marriage contract completely collapsed. To avoid being dragged down, the Fong group and the Qin family completely cut off relations, and fortunately, they withdrew in time, so the Fong family did not suffer much. However, the already decaying Qin family was overturned overnight. Father and mother disappeared from the public eye. Julie was diagnosed with mild delusional disorder and severe depression, and remained in a sanatorium in the suburbs of Xiqing. Shawn brought back home the 2 gifts he had given out on the day of the banquet, intact. The Qin family was sealed off, and the Qin company was acquired by Shawn. They bore exorbitant compensation and had no way out, so they could only mortgage the villa I had given them. The grace of raising is hard to repay, and the bond of sisterhood is hard to sever. This is the only gift I gave to the Chin family. It is also their last retreat from me. In the past, I finally found some leisure time. However, I didn't expect that invitations would come pouring in from various wealthy families, inviting me to join their gatherings. But everyone understood that their true intention was not for the sake of enjoyment. What they valued was the man behind me. Fortunately, Shawn helped me out, taking me back to the old house. On the stable-colored sofa, an elderly lady with a head full of silver hair was glaring at me angrily. "Oh, who is this girl? I don't recognize her." After saying that, she slammed her cup down on the table and turned her head away from me. I hurried over and took her arm. "Grandma, I'm Zoe. Please take another look at me. I don't believe you can't see me at all." "Who is Zoe? I don't know her." Grandma snorted coldly, still refusing to look at me. I moved to the other side, hugging her and continuing to act cute. "We can't not know each other," Grandma said. "I'm her favorite." "Don't be mad, Grandma, I've been tidying up some annoying things these days, and finally have some time to spend with you." After hearing the explanation, Grandma's hand affectionately held mine, and she turned her head to glare at Shawn. "Zoe is in trouble, and you don't even think to help her." Shawn shrugged and sat down on the nearby single sofa. "What do I need to do that for?" Just then, his father came down from upstairs, looking down from a height but with a gentle gaze, his tone carrying a hint of teasing. "Zoe has been quite popular lately, and this little rascal might not even be able to help." I looked up and smiled shyly, feeling a bit embarrassed. "Uncle, you're here too. Your aunt heard you were coming and asked me to bring her over early in the morning." The elegantly dressed aunt in a simple skirt followed Uncle downstairs, her tone gentle. "It's me. I thought we could have a meal together as a family." Just in time for Zoe to go with me to see the engagement dress. Grandma, upon hearing this, gently stroked my head. Before I knew it, the little girl has grown into a young lady. I shook my head gently along with the strength of her palm and felt a sense of emotion. Yeah. It has been 10 years since I met Shawn when I was 15. Compared to the gloomy Chin family home, the old Shan residence feels more like my true home. On the day of my engagement banquet with Shawn, at the top floor of Jima Garden, everything that Shawn secretly prepared with great care finally appeared before me. I lifted my skirt and pushed the door open. There were no guests filling the room, nor any media surrounding us. White roses brought in from all over the world covered the entire venue, and at the end of the red carpet on the stage, there were only our family members. His mother leaned against his father, holding a small gift box. Grandma held the microphone, her voice kind and gentle, drifting through the venue. "Zoe. Welcome home." Shawn pulled me closer, took the box from me, and opened it. The warm, smooth jade bracelet slipped onto my wrist, entirely emerald green. "Zoe. Welcome home." Tears fell from my eyes, and for a moment, I was at a loss for words. How fortunate I was to have known Shawn in my youth. 10 years have passed. The dust has settled.